DJ ROC and Raggedy Andy. It's the ROC and Raggedy Show.
That ether that make your soul burn slow. That ether that make your soul burn slow. That ether that make your soul burn slow.
Allow me to reintroduce myself.
Check. Mic check. 1, 2. In the place to be. ROC Raggedy. Yes, sir. And hold on. Cut the music. I'll stop that music. I gotta let y'all know right now. Right before we getting ready to start that. Breaking news. Raggedy Andy just made me take a shot right now, right before the episode started. The music's playing. We getting ready to start. We trying to be professional. And he's like, all right, you got to catch up. I took my shot already. Like, oh, no, I ain't ready. It was a victory shot because, drumroll, North Carolina got blown by 21. Shout out to Texas A&M. Wow. Good Lord. Wow. All of your brackets are officially busted. I can't wait to go to work and see all these people that's in my face. Syracuse shouldn't have got in. Yeah. Carolina's going to repeat. We're going to the Final Four. Yeah. And y'all got beat in the state of North Carolina. You know, oh my God, they're one of the best teams from top to bottom. How about that University of Buffalo Bulls? You know what's happening? Yeah. It's looking really karmatic for all those teams that were named in the scandal. Wait a minute. Who did Syracuse beat? Michigan State. Weren't they named in that scandal? Absolutely. You see how they one by one they're getting knocked out. Yeah. But that's not neither here nor there. We're just rejoicing in the fact that the Cuse is going on to the Sweet 16. That is right. After everybody lamented about the Cuse being let into the tournament. They're not supposed to be there. Here's the thing about Syracuse. Everybody belittles them for playing the zone, but once you get into the tournament and these teams haven't seen the zone, they can't make shots. There's a reason why the two teams that Syracuse has played already look so terrible. Actually, 3 teams. I'm saying 2. Yeah, because they played 3 games. They were on the playing game. And all 3 games, each team has shot the ball terrible. Not to say that Syracuse has been shooting the ball well, because they haven't, but they're winning this on defense. So shout out to Coach Boeheim, who always makes the best seasons when he doesn't have the best players. And I want to give a quick shout out to the school that hosted my undergraduate studies, my alma mater, the University at Buffalo, who has never won a tournament game. Been in there 3 times, never won a tournament game. In the first round. Shout out to Tay Carruthers. Yes. Shout out to him putting one of the guys that's putting Rochester on the map. That's right. Laid the smack down on Arizona's team that everybody thought was a favorite to actually go to the Final Four and win it. Right. You know, top to bottom, Arizona's one of the best teams in the bracket. And but shout out to UMBC. Oh my goodness. Wow. The first 16th seed to win over a number 1 seed ever. It has never happened. You know what's so ironic about it? Yeah. These are 2 teams from the DMV area. Yep. So as Virginia, you lost to a team that's not too far from your campus. Exactly. So that's great. Every time they're in Walmart and they see somebody, and it's also funny. Refresh my memory on the acronym for the school again. UMBC, Baltimore County. Isn't that the same school that Stringer Bell was taking business classes at? Absolutely. Just throwing it out there. Yes, he was. You know, for all you ladies who love Idris Elba, you know, he's not available, but still, you still love him. Sort of like how we used to love, like, you know, a Tony Braxton, or we used to love like Halle Berry. You know, they're not available. We still love them, but you know, it is what it is. All y'all ladies are like Denzel. But you know, I don't love Tony Braxton anymore. She messed with Baby, so I know I had a shot. I got lucky because my wife kind of resembles Tony Braxton, so cheat code. You're one of the lucky ones. There you go. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know if that's how we were planning on starting the we weren't planning to start that like that, but that was breaking news. So yeah. I think we should just run with the NCAA while we're talking about it. I think we should too. I mean, if anybody has a bracket that isn't busted, I commend you, because
just like what we broke down, UNC just got blown up by like 20. Syracuse is in the Sweet 16, by defeating Michigan State. University at Buffalo beat Arizona in the first round. Virginia was the first number 1 seed to ever lose in the first round.
History.
And I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't know if it's just me. I feel like Kansas is on the clock. Kansas is a choke.
Is notorious for coming up short.
Kansas, you're on the clock. My bracket, however, I picked Villanova in 2 to win. 2 brackets. I picked Villanova in both.
Villanova as well. They're looking very well.
The Big East are still breathing.
They are looking very well.
Yeah, no, they're in the ACC now, but the ghosts of the Big East.
Cuse, now, if Cuse puts out Duke, I'd be so happy. You know what? Cuse doesn't even have to win it all. Just put Duke out, and that's good enough for me.
That'll be a blessing.
That's good enough for me, man. Telling you, man. It's just so funny that how unpredictable the tournament has been lately.
It's the greatest. I think it's literally the greatest show on earth, because even when everybody said no, it's perfect, don't mess with it, 64 teams, that's it, and then like, okay, we're gonna add the 4 play-in games. That never took away from the luster of the NCAA tournament.
And you know what the funniest thing about this whole situation would be? That there has to be a couple people in this land that still has a bracket that they don't have a loss in.
That's right. Somebody has a bracket that they're like, yes, I'm winning.
And it's probably a woman who said, oh, I like their color, so I'm picking them.
Yep.
Jeez. I mean, because literally what we as men do and how we mess up our brackets is we use too much logic.
It's funny that you mentioned a woman who likes the team's colors. If I'm not mistaken, about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, on Mike and Mike, I think it was either Greeny or Golick's wife. Golick's wife. Yes. That's exactly how she picked it, and she had a perfect bracket, didn't she?
Yes.
She just said, "Oh yeah, they're cool. I like their colors. They're good. Oh well, Cavaliers are stronger than goats, so I'm gonna go with the Cavaliers. Oh well, North Carolina, they have more letters in their name than Gonzaga. So she was just picking teams like random like that. She had a perfect bracket. There is no rhyme or reason. There's no logic.
You know what? It's funny because I remember one year I let my girlfriend pick one for me, and her bracket won and mine didn't.
There is no way Virginia is going to lose to UMBC when you're picking your bracket, and everybody who picked Virginia is like UMBC beat Virginia.
Right. I mean, you just only have to look at the resume. Look at how they played during the season. I mean, going into the tournament, they had to be the one lock. There's a lot of brackets, I'm sure, that had Virginia winning
winning the whole thing
because they were a defense-first team, and they just played within themselves. They didn't do what they're not supposed to do. Nobody plays out of what they're used to playing and everything. But this game in particular, it had to be, in my estimation, out of all games I've watched, the worst performance I've ever seen from a top-rated school ever. I mean, they looked like they never played the game of basketball. At halftime, the game was tied. In the second half, oh my goodness, they gave up like 56 points. And this is like the number 1 defensive team in the country.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Are they not the number 1 overall seed?
Correct, they are. Word. And you get your behinds beat by 20?
And this is the crazy part. The current game that is on right now, number 9 Kansas State versus number 16 UMBC.
Watch out, Kansas State. You're only up 2 at this point.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And the thing of it is see, in a tournament, there's certain teams that just make a game ugly, and if the score is low, they're gonna hang around and 9 times out of chance be having a shot at winning the game at the end. That's what Syracuse does. Syracuse just makes the game ugly. They want it to be a low-scoring game, and as long as they're in it in the last 2 minutes, you hope for a great play on your part, and the other team to make a bonehead play or you make a great defensive play and you steal a victory, and that's what happened.
Oh, and in case you haven't been paying attention, in the South region, the number 1 seed is the number 5 seed, Kentucky.
Absolutely.
Because number 3 Tennessee lost by a point to Loyola Chicago,
Bye-bye.
the 11 seed. Number 2 seed Cincinnati lost to number 7 Nevada.
Bye-bye.
And Loyola and Nevada are geared up to play in the Sweet 16.
I don't care what anybody says. Nobody had that.
11-7 in the Sweet 16. And Kentucky is waiting on the winner of the 9-16. Nobody had that.
It's shaping up like Kentucky will be in the Final Four.
The Shockers got shocked by Marshall. A 4 lost to a 13 in the first round. I mean, it's getting crazy. Butler, I think I predicted that Butler would beat Arkansas because the 7-10 game. A lot of times the 7-10.
7 and 10s are even.
They're pretty even. Even though they lost in the first round, did anybody project that St. Bonaventure would be playing for Florida? Because they won their playing game. And I think they beat UCLA, right?
Yes, absolutely not. And the travesty of it all is I thought that St. Bonaventure had a good enough season that they shouldn't have had to play in that play-in game. I thought they were going to be a 9 seed somewhere, but evidently I was wrong.
And like I said earlier, I'm projecting and predicting that Kansas is on the clock. They coasted to a first-round victory over number 16 Penn, 76-60, 16 points. In the second round, Kansas beat the ghosts of the Big East Conference, Seton Hall, 83-79. They await the winner of the Clemson-Auburn game. Clemson's
Is it
5,
safe to say that Clemson's going to win this game?
Clemson is currently
58-26
Auburn
in the second half
58-26
with 14.2 left.
Unless Auburn got a bunch of 3-point shooters, it's rough.
That would mean they had to have a couple stops as well, ROC. They're down 33 points.
That would be 59-26. That score just went up.
They're down 33 points.
Yeah.
I don't care how many 3-pointers you make. You got to stop me from making 2-pointers at that point.
Exactly. So the Midwest region is kind of like on fire. You got Syracuse and Duke in the Sweet 16. Kansas is waiting on Clemson versus Auburn, which is looking like Clemson. And Clemson beat New Mexico State 79-68. Clemson looks like they're putting up some points.
Yeah.
You know, Kansas.
I'm going out on a limb, and I'm going to say Syracuse is going to beat Duke. And
are they going to see Kansas or Clemson?
I think they're going to see Kansas, and I think they'll beat Kansas.
I'd love to see that.
Kansas doesn't shoot it well like that, so I think they'll beat Kansas. But I'm just going out there on the limb like that.
Meanwhile, the only bracket that looks somewhat normal, and I say somewhat because North Carolina just got spanked 86-65. 86-65 by number 7 Texas A&M.
Spanked.
Yeah. But Texas A&M's going to play number 3 Michigan, so that held out.
And what a game Michigan had against Houston to win it on that last second shot. Oh my gosh.
That was a 3-6 game. If you've never seen one, a 1-point game.
I felt so bad for
a good
Houston.
matchup.
I really did.
Yeah.
Houston should have won that game if not for a couple free throws being made.
Yep. Gonzaga edged out Ohio State 90-84. So they're waiting the winner of Xavier and Florida State. So that bracket, take away the loss by North Carolina. That bracket's kind of panning out the way it should be. The West is the only one that seems to be panning out. Everything else, unless you pick Villanova to win it all, or you picked UMBC to win it all, you're probably busted up a little bit.
I would say, I would say as much.
Yeah. Shout out to Buffalo, even though you got spanked by Kentucky. Shout out to UB and the Bulls, and we'll see them back next year. I'm thinking that. But man, so now that that's all happened, all the clapping. And the splatters and all the 3-point shots and the buzzer beaters and the who do you still think is going to win it all with the remaining teams left? I'm still going Villanova.
Nova. I've still got to go Nova. The leadership of Brunson You know, and
Ghosts.
they're battle tested. They're only 2 years removed from them winning it. Yeah, I'm going with them. And Jay Wright Jay Wright is just a great coach, so I'm going with Nova.
Isn't he a former USC guy, UCLA guy? I mean, or I have him confused.
I'm not sure, but I do know
he's not. He looks like the former UCLA coach. That's what it is. They kind of favor each other.
Oh, you're talking about Alford?
No, not Alford. Jay Wright looks like I think his name was Steve something.
Can't remember.
They kind of have that same kind of slick back throwback to Pat Riley look to him.
Oh, Steve Lavin. Okay.
Steve Lavin, yeah. Jay Wright and Steve Lavin kind of favor each other. That's why I get him confused.
But then I go with Jay Wright because Jay Wright has ties to Rochester area. You know, he's assistant coach at the U of R.
Yep.
So, you know, I'm going with him, riding out with him.
Of the Big East live.
Yes.
The greatest conference to ever be dismantled in college basketball.
Greatest college basketball
ever. All you ACC pundits, all you SEC followers.
I swear, if I didn't,
you Pac-10
if I didn't like the Cuse, I would just be like, I don't have no team because I hate the fact that we're in the ACC. I hate the ACC. I hate
when
Carolina.
Miami left to
so
go to the
glad
ACC,
Carolina lost.
When
it's ironic that none of my friends from college will respond now. They nobody wants to text now. But if it was Cuse losing, oh, what's up with your boys and all that? Okay, what's up with us? Sorry.
If we go back to the bracket, how many ACT teams are left? We have Florida State.
Okay, who's playing now? Currently winning against
Xavier.
number 1 Xavier 5-0 with 19-12 left in the first half.
Okay, we have Florida State. We have
the Cuse. Duke. That's 3.
We have Cuse, Duke, Florida State. We have.
Let's think. Who else do we have?
How does it? That's all, folks.
That's it. Out of how many? We had the conference had the most entries into the tournament.
I'm just gonna go out on a limb. Hold on. Let me get this right. I'm shooting shots. The ACC has by far been one of the most overrated basketball conferences in the history of college basketball.
Aren't they always?
In the history, like they treat the ACC like it is the SEC in college football. The SEC
absolutely.
SEC is not overrated.
ACC is notorious for people thinking and wanting them to be basketball royalty,
and they're not.
And what's so ironic about Carolina losing today is you lost in the state of North Carolina. It's like any time that North Carolina or Duke make the tournament, they could be an 11 seed. They'll find a way for both of them to play in Carolina.
Let me ask you a question.
And it bit you in the ass. I'm so happy.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Historically, if you had to talk about a basketball powerhouse coming from the state of Texas, what school would you think of first?
Whoa, that's a good question.
A basketball powerhouse from the state of Texas in the NCAA. Texas?
I guess it would be Texas.
Longhorns?
Yeah.
Not A&M?
No, absolutely not.
Houston probably rank over it.
Oh, absolutely, because Houston has a lot of history. You know, the days of Elvin Hayes. If you know, some of you guys are too young to remember. You know,
Phi Slamma Jamma.
You know, and absolutely the Clyde Drexler, Houston, you know, Cougars, as well as Akeem Olajuwon playing on that team. Yeah, I mean, but Texas A&M, absolutely not. That's a football school. Unless Johnny Manziel played basketball, I don't think we know nothing about him basketball-wise.
And not only that, we're not talking about an upset. We're talking about a 21-point upset, 65-86.
And that's the thing about this tournament. Like, even though people are getting upset, they're getting blown out.
Virginia got blown out by 20 points, 74-54.
And for Carolina to get blown out by 21, you understand what I'm saying? You have two of the top seeds in that conference, the two top seeds in the conference,
spanked. Not like we lost on the upset and maybe some questionable calls.
I guess it wasn't your daddy's
ACNC,
right?
Huh?
It wasn't your daddy's ACNC tournament.
Not at all.
Teams, you know. I don't know.
And every now and then there's a questionable call that goes down, and it's a controversial.
Oh, there's not a questionable call. There's no controversy in 20 points. 20-point blowouts. That means you were being dealt with the whole game.
Pretty much.
I'll tell you, they were down 10 early and just never recovered.
You got handled pretty much.
Sorry for you.
Yep.
Now you can just go home and watch my team. How about that?
Much.
That everybody said wasn't getting in or shouldn't get in, and I agreed that they shouldn't got in. But you let us in, and guess what? Round of 16. Thank you very much.
But you know what though? The team that they argued should have been in there, the ghosts of the Big East Conference. Notre Dame, I think, would have caught wreck in this tournament.
And I think that's why they didn't put him in there.
Yeah.
But the one thing and we spoke about this offline, how ironic that we're seeing a lot of the teams that are being upset are a lot of the teams that were named in the scandals.
Oh yeah, the probe, the FBI is all over.
Hey, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Carolina, because Carolina is one of the blue blood teams, and
the Bible Belt.
They're like the poster child of the NCAA.
They're the New England Patriots of NCAA.
Now, some people say it's Duke, but I beg to differ.
It is North Carolina.
I don't think it's Duke so much as it's Mike Krzyzewski. I don't think it's Duke. It's Mike Krzyzewski.
Yeah.
But Carolina, it's Carolina.
It doesn't matter.
I don't care who's coaching
Carolina.
Even when Coach Guthrie was coaching them, it was still North Carolina. Even though they sucked a little bit, it was still North Carolina. But, hey, how y'all like that?
Yeah.
Take that, Rico. Take that, Adam. Hey.
But enough
take
shots
that, Durbin.
Enough shots at North Carolina. Enough shots at the ACC. While we're pulling for Syracuse, while in both of my brackets, and Andy just mentioned it, we still think that Villanova is the top team.
Absolutely.
Be on the lookout for them Wildcats of Kentucky.
They have a clear path. But see, during the year, they were playing kind of shaky. But you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing them win so that Calipari can just laugh in everybody's face.
Yep.
That would be so nice.
Yep. And that, honestly, does it matter that they didn't play that well in the season? If you're hot right now, that's all that matters. You need to be hot for a good 2 weeks. Literally, 2 weeks.
Yeah. And no shout out to the committee who decided that it was a great idea to put Oklahoma in just because they have Trae Young and that he's must-see TV. So you got to watch him one time. Right?
How much TV are you watching right now of him?
But here's the thing. As bad as they were coming down the stretch, they lost 8 of the last 10 games. As Dick Vitale stated, they had not won a road game in the calendar year of 2018, and they made it in as a 10 seed. That means that they were comfortably in.
Yeah, because there's 16 seeds in each bracket.
Yeah, and the 11 seeds are the play-ins.
Yeah.
The 4 play-ins are 11 seeds. And primarily the ones that are under those are like the ones who won their conference tournaments from like the mid-majors or the very, very small conferences.
So let me do my math correctly. Okay, so that they were a 10 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say they were the bottom 10 seeds. They were the worst 10 seed. Okay, there's 16 in each one, so that means there's 6 extra in each bracket. So that's 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, and you got the 4 playing games, so they were better than 28 teams is what they were saying.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know. I can't call it.
New sense.
Okay.
If you say so. We're moving right along.
Yes, moving right along.
Kiss. Anything happens during this broadcast of our podcast, the ROC Raggedy Show. I don't even know if we introduced ourselves because it was crazy.
I think we did not. I don't think we did. I think we had the breaking news. It came right as we were going on, so we just ran with it.
Yeah. If you're not familiar with us, this is the ROC Raggedy Show. This is DJ ROC,
and I am Raggedy Andy,
and we're the ROC Raggedy Show.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, but yeah, since that was so crazy, if any more breaking news happens during this broadcast, we will brief you because there are some games playing as we speak. And I know a lot of y'all didn't go to work. I know people that actually take off like the first 2 days of the tournament.
Yeah,
like
Thursday, Friday.
They're not there. Some of y'all gonna go into work tomorrow with extra coffee in your cup because you're gonna be staying up watching to see the bracket that I have that's currently in shambles. How much will it hold up, or will it get blasted anymore? Because remember, there's a 1 seed playing right now. That's Xavier. I, for the life of me, cannot remember any time in my 40 years on this planet where Xavier was the number 1 seed.
Never happened.
Exactly. So
never happened.
I'm going to go on a limb to say that Kansas and Xavier are on the clock. Just
they're on the clock right now. Time is ticking.
That's
tick,
right.
Tick, 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 tick. You know what I'm very curious of? I would love to see what President Obama's his brackets look like.
He usually has a solid bracket too,
but he usually picks Carolina.
That would make it so unsolid right by now.
And if I know him, he's probably blaming Michelle right now. Like, baby, you told me to pick North Carolina. I knew it wasn't their year. I went with them anyway.
Should have picked the team from Chicago. Yeah, what you gonna do?
Oh gosh.
Oh, first and foremost, I do want to apologize to anybody who is coming to this podcast, this particular episode, to get an update on the NBA. There is so much going on elsewhere that basically there's teams playing. Some are winning.
Yes.
Some are losing. Some people are injured, and Andy's gonna basically brief you on the big NBA stories, which is going to take about 30 seconds.
Yeah. The big stories so far are the NBA still playing.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of relevancy right now. Houston's still winning.
Yep.
They're still in first place. Basically, the brackets still stay the same. The nightlife part of our section is still staying the same, you know. So, we always look forward to the Miami portion of it. But Golden State has 3 major injuries at this time.
That's correct.
Recently, Klay Thompson has a broken thumb. He'll be out 2 weeks.
Ouch.
And Kevin Durant has a situation going on with his ribs, and he'll be out 2 weeks.
Ouch.
On top of Steph Curry still being out with his ankle. Ouch. I think with them, they're just trying to limp into the playoffs healthy. They won't go under a 2 seed, and they'll just take their chances when they're healthy. And I still think that they're still the team to beat, because, like I said, I have no faith in Chris Paul and James Harden in the playoffs until they show me otherwise.
I have more faith in Eric Gordon at this point, because I think he's gonna try and show up every night. But yeah, and I look at it like this: they may be hurt. You have 3 of your stars that are out. You're pretty much your top 3 stars. They're getting rest right now.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: they've been there 3 years in a row. They know what it takes.
They won the 73 games and lost that championship, so they don't really care about the regular season wins anymore. They got the record.
They know that it's a sprint. It's not a sprint, rather. It's more like a marathon. They're preparing for the marathon. Those who are preparing for the sprint won't be around at the end of the marathon.
Yep.
But I will say the team to watch is the Portland Trail Blazers.
Definitely.
Out of nowhere, Damian Lillard has carried this team, and he's showing everybody why he is a superstar, why he should never be questioned as to being an all-star. He's putting it out there, man, and showing that he's the nicest MC in the league as well.
Yeah, that is correct. I mean, shout out to Iman Shumpert, but Lillard's holding it down right now. And I think you get these players that you have your LeBrons, you have your Kyries, you have your Kevin Durants that are always going to get those accolades. But then you have those other players that are, I'm not going to say just as good, but they're in that upper tier of athlete that have a tendency to get overlooked. And
well, a lot of them get overlooked.
One of those players.
A lot of them get overlooked for the simple fact that they're on the West Coast and you don't see them on TV too much. But their record is 43-26.
That's correct.
I don't care how much you see them. 43-26 is very applaudable for that team, who
3rd seed,
who have what I would say are 2 diminutive guards that play the majority of the minutes.
Lillard McCollum. And they're a game and a half over the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have MVP from last year, one of the top free agents in the upcoming summer in Paul George, and maybe he's a little bit past his prime now, but still a great player, in Carmelo Anthony as their big 3, and they're a game and a half above them. So watch out for Portland.
You know what's quite interesting about OKC, and that I haven't heard anybody really mentioning? If Russell Westbrook averages 11 rebounds for the rest of the season, he will average a triple-double again this year.
Back-to-back seasons.
That is freaking amazing.
That's crazy.
The fact that he could do it 2 years in a row, and then in a season where he got help. Nobody was looking for him to average a triple-double.
Exactly.
I hope he does. He's my second favorite player in the league, but from a heart standpoint, there's nobody.
My favorite player in the league.
There's nobody in the league with more heart than him. And the only reason he's my second favorite player in the league is because Damian Lillard is my favorite player in the league.
I can respect that too. That's not a bad choice. I will say this, another little added note to the NBA playoff picture. Minnesota is the 5th seed. Utah is the 6th seed. San Antonio is the 7th seed. New Orleans is the 8th seed. In the West, they're all 40 and 30.
But here's the thing.
You sneeze, that's changing.
But here's the thing. You know, with a couple losses, you could quite possibly not see San Antonio in the playoffs.
That's correct.
That is unheard of.
Because trickling out in number 9 of those wily Clippers, and in number 10 with the same amount of games behind of those Denver Nuggets.
Let them know who's number 11.
Number 11 are the Los Angeles Lakers. We are 6-4 in the last 10 games. Winning record at home 18-16.
This is without Ingram playing currently.
Yeah, this is actually
Listen, we're gonna be all right. So I'm not even worried about us. We're gonna be all right.
And mathematically, we have not been eliminated from the playoffs. I'm just throwing it out there.
Actually, if we were to win the rest of our games, we could sneak in at the 8.
That's right. Don't sleep
if you need us.
Just in case, because
so
I don't want to see us.
But not to throw off what we've been doing, but if we won all the rest of our games and we came in as an 8th seed, you know what that does? You know what that does to the dynamics of the party situation?
Houston don't want no smoke with LA.
Houston versus LA.
Houston don't want no smoke with LA because it's this.
I'm talking about the nightlife.
I know that's what I'm. Houston don't want no smoke with LA, man. We talking about Hollywood. We talking about Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. We talking about the Walk of Fame. We talking about
medicinal weed.
Yes.
We're talking about Snoop and all the stars.
Ice Cube.
I swear. I mean. Can you imagine how Jack Nicklaus would be at the playoff games?
Oh my goodness! Jack Nicklaus, Diane Carroll, and Denzel gonna be at every game.
Oh my goodness! You know what, Billy Crystal and Penny Marshall. We'll let you guys, come on over. You can get in the Staples Center, even though that the Clippers wouldn't be there. We'd let you in.
That's all right, because they just be coming back home. They've always been Laker fans. They're on vacation. But
you know who's out at all the Laker games as well.
Who's that?
Floyd Money Mayweather.
Oh yeah, money team in the building.
Who is supposed to be trying to be a MMA fighter? Craziness.
Yeah, that makes no sense. Don't do it, Floyd.
You already have near $1 billion, so why would you want to put your livelihood in jeopardy? I don't understand.
I'm not getting that either. I mean, I would just see him in the position that he's already in as a promoter, being very successful. He's promoted himself for all these years. He has fighters under his promotion. Why not just continue with that, sit in the wings and just give knowledge to up-and-coming fighters and help make the sport greater?
I think with a person like him, he's just 40 years old, and 40 years old in life is not old. And and he's never done anything else in his livelihood, and he understands that as far as the boxing goes, in the welterweight division, he's got guys like, you have a Errol Spence in that division. You have a Keith Thurman. You have, Danny Garcia. You have, just a plethora of people, I mean, I didn't even mention Crawford because he hasn't had one fight at welterweight, but he stepped up to a welterweight. Mm-hmm. And then, that's probably the toughest division in all of boxing, and it doesn't help him that he's 40 and these guys are in their prime. So it's smart for him to retire from there, but to go to a whole nother realm of fighting, I mean, if you think that you just being able to pity pat and jab and punch is going to keep somebody off you, these people can't wait. Listen, they can't wait to slam him on his neck.
My thing is this.
I think they're going to really brutalize him and hurt him.
My thing is this. I've never been like a big fighter or anything like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I ain't scared of none of y'all. I ain't scared.
I ain't scared of you, nigga.
At the same time, I've never been a big fighter or anything like that.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, If I see some little dude talking, I'm like, man, I ain't worried about him. I'll knock him out.
You look
Then
at
I started watching
right?
UFC. Then I was like, you know what? That little dude might have a hitch kick for your ass.
You know what's funny?
That could lay you out.
You know what's funny? Me and my girlfriend watch it all the time.
Size does not
Anytime they
matter.
have a pay-per-view, which is usually every Saturday, you know, we'll get on the Fire Stick and watch it. And my favorite move is when they just like slash you with the forearm punch, like to the face. I don't know what it is about it, but when I watch that, I'm like, I could just imagine me doing that to somebody, man. Ugh.
It's crazy.
I would love to just do that one time to somebody.
Yeah, but you
I wouldn't want it
let
done
you
to
know
me,
the
though.
size of a person's stature. You know, short, tall, big. It means nothing in the octagon. You could get laid out by somebody that's 5'3".
Yeah, one bad move.
Yeah,
One mistake.
one roundhouse. You know, just give you that Chuck Norris roundhouse like you used to in Walker, Texas Ranger. When you got the roundhouse, you knew it was over.
Right.
That's how USC is. But segueing back to that was our talk of the NBA Lakers sideline. The East playoff picture, looks the same. Toronto seems to be pulling away in the first seed. They're 5 games ahead, but who really cares? Because once the playoff starts, that's when the season really starts.
Yeah.
So Toronto's the first seed. They play Miami. Gonna be a tough one.
Nightlife still. I still love that series.
Nightlife is popping. But on the court,
that's the number one. That's probably our number one seed as far as nightlife.
Yeah. Because wait. Let's go back down. Because New Orleans has slipped back down in that 8th spot. So that's
New
number
Orleans
2.
and Houston.
New Orleans and
Okay.
Houston. 4.5 to 5 hours away. That's popping.
It's just that it's Miami. It's Toronto. I would say that's a toss up. Those are toss ups.
You can't go wrong either way.
You definitely can't.
It's like having Chipotle versus having Moe's. Sure, Chipotle has better burritos. Moe's has better queso. But either way, you'll be okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? However,
Good food either way.
However, I will say this. I need to sincerely send out a message to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I need for you to at least, and I'm going to send this out to the Portland Trailblazers as well, because Golden State and Houston have pretty much cemented themselves. They're about 10 games ahead of everybody else. Portland and Oklahoma City. This is a plea from the ROC and Raggedy Show. Please do not fall any lower than the 5th seed collectively, because Utah and Minnesota happen to end up in the 4-5 slot. Our nightlife bracket is busted like the NCAA.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. You know, Utah is a polygamy state.
I stand corrected.
I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there if you need it.
Polygamy and Purple Rain.
If you need them. If you need them. And it goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
Dearly beloved. But this is a Christian show. We just, whatever.
I'm
Anyway.
sure Prince had a plethora of girls in Lake Minnetonka.
Apollonia. Vanity. Hey.
Maybe he wanted to move to Utah. Who knows?
Who knows?
Shout out to Prince, man. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. R.I.P. Since we brought up polygamy and Purple Rain, I guess we should quick shout out our sponsor before we get to the NFL, right?
Why not?
Yeah. Our first sponsor is La Cerveza Más Fina, Cervecería Modelo Mexico. That's where it was bottled.
Viva la raza. Yes.
I said all that to say Corona. I said all that to say Corona. That's all I was trying to say. Yeah, you know. I wanted to.
That was a good interpretation. You sounded like one of the interpreters during a boxing match.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. And I'm deviating again.
Mm-hmm.
How come these boxers can box a million times in America and not know the language? I don't get it. But that's just me. But never mind.
When they want to.
Yeah.
They can.
They pull a Sammy Sosa?
Yeah.
Okay. So, let them know what the other sponsors are.
Other sponsor, but first, before you do that, you bring up Sammy Sosa. What color is he this week?
Opaque.
Opaque? Okay. That might be another segment, the Sammy Sosa complexion watch. But you wanna bring another sponsor?
Oh, why, of course.
Shout out to Nas.
Shout out to Nas. You know, we're drinking Hennessy, very special cognac. Yes.
That is correct.
You know, it's
Find your rabbit.
Mason founded at 1765 is when it was founded. Which is hard to believe that somebody was drinking Hennessy back then. But that's besides the point.
Hey, shout out to y'all. Moving right along.
Yes.
We had to get all that out of the way because this next subject is going to take up some time. Now,
Yes, buckle your seat belts.
last episode 4, I said that when I was planning the outline, I'm like, I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough to talk about in the NFL. And boy, was I mistaken. I didn't have that thought this week because this is dump salary, make some cap room, and make some money moves, like Cardi B says, time in the NFL. But first and foremost, we have some breaking news that the NFL has parted ways with Papa John's as its official sponsor, its official pizza sponsor, and the founder, John Shanter, criticized the NFL over their handling of the national anthem protest, and no, to our knowledge, he was not drunk and plastered when he made these statements.
Well,
Shots fired.
I think he knows what he was saying. I think he understands that, you know, a good percentage of his buyers were from the community as which Kaepernick was representing.
Yep.
He knows that, and you know, if a boycott would have been in place, that would have made them lose so much money. So he had to, you know, from a business standpoint, he had to pull away from them. That's what that was.
Yeah.
Just straight money move.
Speaking of pulling away and making money moves, 2 days prior to the announcement, the official spokesperson and brand ambassador himself of Papa John's, Peyton Manning.
Why did he just change the name to Peyton Manning?
Yeah.
Instead of Papa John's. It's Peyton Manning.
Papa Peyton's.
Something.
You know, Papa Manning's, whatever. Well, not anymore because in light of the news that the deal between the NFL and Papa John's was going to be, they were going to be splitting, Peyton Manning sold 31 of his Denver area Papa John's 2 days before the announcement. 31.
You think the
Papa
writing was on
John's.
the wall for him to do that?
But we're not talking about across the country. Just in Denver. 31 Papa John's.
Dang.
Is it safe to say that Peyton Manning was the biggest pizza dealer in Denver?
Absolutely.
Was he
But he probably saw that the writing on the wall was that, you know, he'd be bigger money-wise if he was dealing medicinal marijuana.
Was he the Avon Barksdale of pizza in Denver?
It has to be. Who else is owning pizza companies?
31?
31?
31? Am I
In
thinking
one
this?
city?
If you got enough money to buy 31 Papa John's,
God bless him.
think about the money you got from selling all 31 of those Papa John's. Peyton, let me borrow $1 million till
Money
Tuesday.
loves money, man. He stops playing the game and he's still caking up like that. Talk about securing the bag.
Woo. Tell me about it.
Gosh.
Between that and Nationwide. Ballin'. Speaking of ballin', let's get to the actual on-field NFL. Well, actually not on-field since it's off-field transactions. This is the free agency period, and it is gone crazy. First thing we'll talk about the we saw this coming moves. The Pittsburgh Steelers have released William Gay, who can't guard this empty glass on my table right now. That's
Isn't his nickname Toast?
yeah,
Is
he
everybody
gets
toasting
burnt
him?
a lot. So they released him. We saw it coming. I'd have released him if I could. He probably got released on Madden. But William Gay is no longer a Pittsburgh Steeler. And they franchise tag Le'Veon Bell. Another thing we saw coming. If they
Here's
can't.
the thing about this whole Le'Veon Bell situation.
Yep.
Why don't you just go ahead and pay this man? This man sat out all training camp, said, you know what, since y'all franchise tagged me, I'm not coming until it's time to play. He comes when it's time to play, and he's still the best running back in the league. Pay the man the money, man.
Well, they are paying him 1 year at a time.
We do understand that Pittsburgh primarily doesn't pay people unless they are the star quarterback. But damn it, Ben Roethlisberger, you got a voice, and you could say to management, listen, restructure my deal so we can lock this man up.
Because this guy here is making my life easier.
Because, no, for no other reason that Antonio Brown restructured his contract to do just that.
Yeah.
You know,
Arguably the best receiver in the game.
arguably.
Yeah. It's always an argument.
Well, it's only between two people, so, you know. It's only between him and Julio Jones, so.
Yeah. I think A.J. Green would be in that conversation if he had somebody else throwing it to him. But we'll get to the Cincinnati Bengals later on. But moving along to we saw this coming moves. Cornerback and reality TV star. Was he a reality TV star? Or was he just a...
I don't think he was the star. I think he enabled one of the ladies to become a star.
Okay.
I would say that.
So he was a tastemaker.
Yeah.
Okay. So, cornerback and reality tastemaker star Orlando Scandrick has been released. Not as bad as a corner as William Gay, but we kind of agree. Change of scenery might be.
Yeah, he needs a change of scenery, man. I mean, you know, he gets a bad rap for the things that happen, and he's been injured a lot there and everything like that.
Yeah.
You know, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was asking for the release.
Bye, Felicia. Hey,
he played like Felicia, but
you know, you never know. But it's, like I said, a change of scenery may prove good for him. Maybe he wants to go out west and you know, sow his reality TV oats. You know, get somewhere closer to a studio.
True. I think he probably has new aspirations as to what he wants to do after football's over.
Yeah.
You know, he probably seen the other side of things while
Mona cutting them checks.
Let's not talk about her.
Yeah.
Jeez.
When I'm not mentioning her last.
Her and her bastardizing of TV in our community.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about, you know, surprised.
Big deals. The Cleveland Browns, dare I say it right now,
are making moves
and have potential, if they draft correctly, to go from 0-16 to, I think, no less than 7-9.
Team.
Which,
and what is the correct move? And we both agree on this move, but what would be the correct move for the number one pick that they currently possess?
We're just throwing this out there. The Browns have the number 1 and the number 4 pick. Mm-hmm. Quarterback has been the issue.
Yeah.
So what do? Drum roll, please. They have made a trade with the Buffalo. Yeah, but hey, who cares? We live. They have made a trade with the Buffalo Bills, and they have acquired the services of Tyrod Taylor.
And you'll love Tyrod. We didn't give him enough respect as we should have. Hopefully you will.
Now, in getting Tyrod, what did they do to add some weapons?
They also made a trade for Jarvis Landry
from the Miami Dolphins,
the number 1 receiver for them. Now, you put Jarvis Landry alongside Josh Gordon.
Yes. Oh, and wait. What's that guy from San Francisco they signed? Oh, Carlos Hyde.
At the running back who catches the ball out of the backfield as well.
And they have the number 1 and number 4 pick. And my thing is this. Jarvis Landry was franchised in Miami and given permission to seek a trade. He's traded to Cleveland, and they said they're going to negotiate a long-term deal. So you're not just getting Jarvis Landry for a year on loaner. They're trying to negotiate a long-term deal. So you have the makings of something now in Cleveland. You have pieces that are proven to be successful.
The only bad part about the whole situation for me is that Joe Thomas, announced his retirement earlier this year.
Yeah.
And it's like he's played like 11 seasons on bad teams, and right when they get good, he's no longer able to play. I think the injury that he sustained last season probably just put a halt to everything. He says that he can't get himself ready to play and go through the grind and everything like that.
And this is someone who had an opportunity to leave and decide, no, I want to stay. I want to see this thing through.
He could have left a long time ago. And always remained an all-pro, the best player that they've had as a lineman.
Yeah.
The best player on your team as a lineman.
He was like basically their Kevin Garnett in Minnesota.
Yes.
When Kevin Garnett was loyal to Minnesota, that's what Joe Thomas was to Cleveland. It's unfortunate that he had to retire, but definitely going to be a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. First ballot. No question.
Now, being that you have Tyrod Taylor, you still have your boy from Notre Dame that played quarterback this year on the roster. You have 2 quarterbacks. You have a proven talent in Tyrod Taylor. You have
if I'm not mistaken, I think they traded him.
They traded him?
Yeah. I forgot where they traded him to go. But they did trade him.
Okay, well, they don't have him anymore. I'm stand corrected. Hey, we keep it real here. Sometimes we don't know everything. But while I think they should draft a quarterback for the future, because let's be honest, Tyrod Taylor, he's not a spring chicken. He's not young. He's not old, but he's not young. I think he's your quarterback for now. I think he's your quarterback for the current immediate future.
Well, he's like putting a Band-Aid on a cut that needs stitches.
I don't think he's like the typical stopgap. Okay, we're just gonna hold on to him until we get somebody. I think he could be there 3-4 years.
I think he's going to be a mentor to whoever they bring in.
Yeah, I think he's instead of stopgap. I think he's more of a bridge quarterback, where he's gonna be the guy for like, kind of like how Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for so long. He sat for 3 years and he came in and he's the man he is today. But I think with the draft that possesses the potential of 8 top quarterbacks, they pick first and fourth. Saquon Barkley is the obvious number 1 pick. The Giants and the Jets are 2 and 3, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah.
And we'll get into the Jets move later on. Worst case scenario, if they take Saquon Barkley first, if the Giants draft a quarterback for the future for Eli, for Eli to be the bridge to, the Jets obviously need a quarterback. They're drafting a quarterback. That's obvious, and we'll get into that later as well. Worst case scenario, you get the 3rd best prospect at quarterback. Is that bad?
Absolutely not.
With 8 potential top prospects at quarterback coming out, I
Because
say you take Saquon Barkley.
I think that somebody's going to take Sam Darnold early, and I'm not really sold on him. So
yeah. Well, you have Sam Darnold, you got Josh Rosen, you got Lamar Jackson, you got Baker Mayfield. Just those 4 there. If you get one of those 4, I think you're okay.
Absolutely.
So I think they should take Saquon Barkley.
I believe that would be the right move, because a talent like him doesn't come all the time. We've watched how many drafts, and with the exception of like a Ezekiel Elliott, or a Todd Gurley in recent years, the thought would be that a running back could be picked up in the second or later rounds.
Yeah.
But when you get that special type of individual with a skill set that Barkley has, you have to take him early. You have to. Cleveland, please listen to me. You have to take him at 1.
You have to.
You have to.
Because my thing is this. If they take a quarterback at 1, the Giants are taking him at 2. Because even though they could draft a quarterback for the future, they have Eli. So do you need to draft a quarterback at 2 if Saquon Barkley's on the board? No. They're taking Saquon Barkley at number 2, I believe.
Oh, absolutely.
He's on the board. They're taking
him.
And they'll say, we'll take our chances later in the draft and get a quarterback. And then who do you pick at 4? You know what I mean?
Right.
I say take Saquon Barkley at 1, then get the next best quarterback available on the board at 4.
And the thing about it is, out of all these quarterbacks, supposedly they're all going to be NFL ready. So even if you get the 3rd out of 8, you're still getting a great quarterback.
There's 8.
So it's a no-brainer for me.
Exactly. But moving right along to some more money moves. Tennessee Titans have been making some money moves. They signed away from the Patriots Malcolm Butler and Deion Lewis. So they got a cornerback for 5 years, and now they have arguably Patriots' best running back from the past season. When healthy, I think he was their best running back.
I think so too, and it's so ironic that after the Super Bowl debacle, as far as his Coach Belichick's handling of Malcolm Butler, that a lot of their players now are jumping ship and going elsewhere.
Yeah, and we'll talk about some more later on, but Amendola is gone. Malcolm Butler and Deion Lewis both left, and like we said, these aren't like old on the way out players. These are still relatively young players. Malcolm Butler was a rookie when he got the interception in the Super Bowl to beat the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, he's relatively young.
Deion Lewis is around the same age. They're
probably no older than 28.
Yeah, if we're talking about old, Tennessee has their franchise quarterback in Marcus Mariota, so they did release Matt Castle. But moving on to Miami, another Patriots defector, they've signed Danny Amendola. And they've also released Ndamukong Suh, that we know that was a money move, cost-cutting
it
move
was.
because he had a large contract when he came to Miami.
I think his salary hit was going to be $12 million.
Good Lord, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, as an owner, I probably would release him too.
Yeah, definitely.
But I would try to have him restructure, is what I would have tried to do. But
yeah. But if he's not giving you the impact on the defensive line that you feel you should be getting, then can't be mad at the release. Not exactly last year, but a somewhat Patriot defector. The Detroit Lions have signed running back LeGarrette Blount to a 1-year deal.
Right.
When you need a running back, sign LeGarrette Blount. Whether it might be 1 year, but he was going to get you everything you need for 1 year. 2 years ago, he was in New England. Last year, then he won a Super Bowl. Last year, he was with Philly, and he won a Super Bowl. And now he's on Detroit, and I think that is a good deal for them.
Yeah, it really is.
He's probably one of the better running backs they've had in a while. So
in at least a decade.
Yeah, they've had some solid running backs, but they haven't had that one running back who's like, oh, yo, I'm going to watch the Detroit Lions game today because he's playing. They haven't really had that. So LeGarrette Blount is definitely a minor upgrade to the running back. And he seems to be somebody that remains healthy. He's going to be there. He's going to deliver. Definitely in the goal line. So that's a good pickup. They also picked up Deshaun Shedd from the Seattle Seahawks at cornerback. Adding a cornerback to an already solid defense, I'm never going to be against that. So definitely two good pickups. Now, one of the teams with a whole lot of money, and they said they're trying to spend it, the New York Football Jets. They making some money moves on the defensive end where they're already pretty stout. They signed the number 1 cornerback on the free agent market, Tremaine Johnson, away from the Los Angeles Rams.
That was a big move because I thought that the Rams were going to try to keep him.
Yeah, but the Rams seem to be cleaning house on defense.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there. We'll talk about them a little bit later, but they are letting everybody go. So they signed Tremaine Johnson, the Jets do. They signed Isaiah Crowell.
From Cleveland.
They've traded up with the Colts to the 3rd pick. The Colts now get the 6th pick. So New York Jets are now drafting 3rd. They've also re-signed Mo Claiborne to a 1-year deal at $7 million. So it's an upgrade in cash for him. And he had a good season for the Jets last year. Now,
I believe with the Jets moving up to 3rd, they're going to dictate what happens for the rest of the draft after their pick.
Yeah.
Them moving up to number 3 totally came out of nowhere, and now it forced a team like, let's say, Buffalo, who was looking to move into that position. Now if they can't move to 2, whatever plans they had for getting a quarterback is basically unraveling right in front of their face.
And here's the question. Who do the Jets have their eyes on? Because I think with the signings that they did on the offensive end, they signed Josh McCown to a 1-year deal for $10 million, and then they signed Teddy Bridgewater, but they also signed him for a 1-year deal. I think that just screams we're drafting a quarterback.
Absolutely, these two seem like insurance options.
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater is the young, coming off of a major injury, but he's the younger quarterback that, if he shows promise, okay, maybe we can keep him along. Josh McCown was there last year, so he's like, okay, you know the offense, you know the team. We're gonna sign you as our immediate insurance. They've told him that he's gonna be the starter, but how long do you think that's gonna last?
Now is he gonna be healthy enough to start the season?
It's the thing, because I can't remember the last time Josh McCown played a full season.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it as one being Josh McCown being the mentor, and Teddy Bridgewater pushing said rookie, whoever they drafted, quarterback. That's how I look at it. And it may be that Teddy Bridgewater starts the first 6 games, and then they'll decide, depending on how he plays, what they'll do with the next quarterback.
I can see
when they pull the trigger or what have you.
Yeah, but I definitely think there's a quarterback in their future. And if Cleveland picks Saquon Barkley, you're probably looking at Sam Darnold or Josh Rosen. Maybe Baker Mayfield.
I think for them, I think Rosen.
Yeah,
I think Rosen, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And in the release department, they've released Muhammad Wilkerson and Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Those of you who don't remember the name Seferian-Jenkins, he was the first in a line of, hey, I got a touchdown against the Patriots that they told me wasn't really a touchdown, even though it was a touchdown. He was that guy. The fumble in the end zone that became the touchback.
Right.
That was him. He's been released. And I'm going to elaborate later, but the Chicago Bear in me is saddened that Matt Forte has retired.
Future Hall of Famer.
Future Hall of Famer. I'll get into that later on because I have a little more I want to elaborate on when we get to speak on Chicago. But
Are you going to cry?
I'm not going to cry.
Okay.
I don't want to cry. But moving along, Seattle Seahawks seem to be cleaning house as well.
Oh, straight fire sale.
They are cutting costs all around.
We won't be calling them the Legion of Boom any longer.
Calling the Legion of Cheap.
Yeah, I mean
Legion of Frugality.
I mean, you Richard Sherman is no longer with the team.
Released him.
We have who
Michael
else?
Bennett was traded to the Eagles.
I mean, and we'll get to them later. But to say that the Eagles won the Super Bowl, the moves that they're making,
you think they lost?
Absolutely. You would think they fell short. They lost maybe the NFC wildcard game or something with the moves they're making. But we're also looking at Earl Thomas possibly leaving and going to Dallas. They're trying to negotiate and make things work, but money's a little bit of issue and things of that nature. But I see that in the future, I think that this move will be made because I haven't seen Dallas make any moves, this offseason. So I believe that would be their move.
Did just cut Orlando Scandrick he's a cornerback, not a safety, but still, they did cut a defensive back. So there's room in the secondary, and Earl Thomas would be definite upgrade. And also, we mentioned earlier, Deshaun Shedd was a free agent, so he's no longer with Seattle. So Seattle is doing a lot more releasing than they are signing. I also believe Thomas Rawls, one of their running backs, was a free agent or maybe released. But either way, no longer with the team. So Seattle shedding some weight. And one man's trash is another man's treasure because the San Francisco Rice-A-Roni 49ers have signed Richard Sherman to a 3-year deal.
And he was recruited very nicely by Jimmy G,
the $137 million man.
It also doesn't hurt that, you have a guy that went to Stanford, that's from the area, going back home to play. You have Lynch, who's a Stanford guy, that's the GM, so it makes sense. But what he said was he was going there basically to play Seattle 2 times a year and to screw them, by signing in the division. But the one thing that I kind of like about Richard Sherman, this man does not get the proper respect due to him as far as him being intelligent and his intelligence. Do you know that he didn't have an agent or anything? He brokered this whole situation with him signing to San Francisco by himself.
Wow, that's beautiful.
No agent involved. He knows what he's worth, and he's betting on himself. That's basically what he did. And regardless if it works or not, he gets credit in my book because he doesn't have to give a percentage to any agent. So shout out to Richard Sherman for once again showing America how intelligent you truly are.
Yeah. And in other related San Francisco 49er news,
the San Francisco treat.
Yes, the Indianapolis Colts have named Tom Rathman as their running backs coach. So,
and for some of you guys who don't know him, go back to your Super Nintendo days and play, Tecmo football, and you'll see how good he was.
Yeah, when you see some, like the defense players bouncing off,
great
that was
blocker.
Tom Rathman.
Great blocker.
Oh yeah. And now we start with the fallout from the Minnesota quarterback situation.
My goodness.
The Arizona Cardinals have signed Sam Bradford, one of the 3 quarterbacks that were a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
And that pretty much started the fallout in Minnesota. They've also signed Mike Glennon as a backup, or maybe competition, I don't know, who was released by Chicago. They have released Adrian Peterson, not a big surprise.
No.
They've also released the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu.
Big surprise.
Yes, but
Big surprise.
not so much when I mentioned that he refused to restructure his deal.
Well, I mean, the reason why I said it's a big deal is because how important he is to that defense.
Oh, definitely.
How good a player he is, and that he's on his rookie contract. Why would he restructure? I just don't understand it. I mean, maybe he did get an extension somewhere or something, but I mean, he was promised that he was one of the focal points of the defense. So why would you restructure him being so young?
Yeah,
and being there less than 5 years?
Talent goes out the window. It's all about the money, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
which segues you into the next team.
Yeah, the team who has released Brian Cushing because he was a cap hit. The Houston Texans said, "Hey, we'll sign Tyrann Mathieu." So,
and he goes to a defensive-oriented team that will definitely be able to use him. I look for him to be a Pro Bowler over there.
Definitely. And if J.J. Watt comes back healthy, ooh, you got J.J. Watt and you got Jadeveon Clowney. The Houston defense secondary is actually pretty decent, so you add him to that mix. Watch out for Houston's defense next year.
Shout out to my boy from school, Chris Brathwaite, who always sung the praises of Jadeveon Clowney, and I would always say, okay, but, we only have one piece of footage that they only show of him, the game when he played against Michigan in the bowl game and everything. But he's starting to come around. But, we'll still wait and see. Jury's still out.
I need to show you the footage of when he was running anchor on his high school team's 4x1. That big dude running that fast. I was like, yo, he's a special talent. Moving along with the Minnesota Vikings quarterback fallout, Denver Broncos have signed Case Keenum and have traded Trevor Siemian to the Vikings. Go figure.
Why not?
Yeah, hey, we'll just take your quarterback. We'll give you one back.
Well, I mean, he's a decent backup, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. They're also shopping Aqib Talib, arguably one of the top, would you say, top 3 or 4 cornerbacks?
I would say
top 3 cornerbacks in the
Yeah.
NFL. But he's owed $19 million over the next 2 years. So
yeah, they have to get rid of him.
Talent is out of the window. It's all about balancing them books. And San Francisco and New England are interested, and obviously Talib would obviously prefer to go to New England because he played there before.
Yep.
But he has no say, so we'll see what happens there. Going back to the fallout of the Minnesota Vikings. So, Teddy Bridgewater, gone. Signed a 1-year deal with the New York Jets. Sam Bradford, gone. Signed with Arizona. Case Keenum, gone. Signed with the Denver Broncos. This is the team that was in the NFC Championship game this year. They've gotten rid of all 3 of their quarterbacks to get, drum roll please, Kirk Cousins. Who we talked about. We expected it to happen. But did you expect a fully guaranteed 3-year, $84 million deal? Sorry,
fully guaranteed.
Sorry, Jimmy G. But Kirk Cousins is now the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. $28 million a year. And didn't you say last year he'd be looking for at least $28 million?
Yes.
At least?
Yes. But here's my thing. Because we do come from a time of what have you done for me lately. So what garners him to get a fully guaranteed contract of $84 million?
I can't even
just look at his resume. He doesn't have a playoff win. So therefore, I don't see fully guaranteed.
Appearance.
Right.
Not a win.
Not a win.
I cannot remember the last time I've seen a fully guaranteed contract for any position of like high stature, let alone the quarterback. Jimmy G's deal was $137 with guaranteed $70 million, correct? $84 million fully guaranteed. That means he makes an average of $28 million a year. He's going to get $28 million a year.
Now you're on the clock because no half stepping. Now basically the Vikings went all in, so now you had to bring them to the Super Bowl. Nothing less.
Super Bowl or bust. I mean, this is the team that they lost in the NFC Championship game, and we give a quarterback $84 million fully guaranteed, and we were 1 game away from the Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl or bust.
And here's the thing, when I look at the game where they played against the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't say that the offense was the problem that game.
No.
The defense is the problem that game, but
Definitely.
the defense is very stout defense. But I just don't see where getting him puts him over the top. But it is what it is.
Yeah, so we will see. But like we said, the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock. I will say this, though, in other 49ers news, Kirk Cousins will be without one weapon as Jerick McKinnon, the running back, actually filled in for Dalvin Cook. And I think he filled in very well for Dalvin Cook. He signed a 4-year, $30 million deal to go to the 49ers, who just got rid of Carlos Hyde. Well, not got rid of, but they lost Carlos Hyde to free agency.
I think it's a good move. They do need to replace him. I'm just shocked that he's making that kind of money or what have you. I'm shocked that he's going to be featured as a, an everyday back.
Yeah. But at the same time, I will say, to his defense, it is a lot of money, but he can run it well. He filled in very well for Dalvin Cook, and he can catch out of the backfield.
Yeah.
So being that dual threat running back is always going to get you more money. So, yeah, San Francisco 49ers have Jerick McKinnon, so Kirk Cousins is without one less weapon. However, Dalvin Cook is coming back, who could have, at the pace he was going, arguably been the offensive rookie of the year. So.
I thought that the rookie of the year would have been him last year.
Yeah.
I definitely thought that.
So, as far as we know, you have all your receivers. You have Thielen. You have Stephon Diggs. You have Dalvin Cook. You have the tight end's name, whose name escapes me at the current moment. You have weapons. You have one of the top 3 defenses in the NFL. Kirk Cousins is on the clock. But my thing is this: if he bums up, his deal is fully guaranteed.
Yeah. So it's not like you're going to just say, you know what, we'll cut him. No, you can't do that with this one.
Yeah.
He's going to be there till the duration, and you better hope that he brings you a title.
Yep. That being said, keeping it NFC North, the Green Bay Packers have decided to release Jordy Nelson and have signed Jimmy Graham.
I was shocked by that move. I didn't know Jimmy Graham was a free agent or what have you, or was on the blocks or whatever. I think it's a great move for him. He will get a lot of touchdowns because he'll just post up in the end zone and you just throw it high to him and he'll get it. You have
Aaron Rodgers.
You have Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball to you, but when I look at a Jordy Nelson, I think Jordy Nelson was Jordy Nelson because of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I don't think that he's gonna equate to the same Jordy Nelson over there at the Raiders, who by chance also signed Doug Martin, which is a peculiar signing because to my knowledge, they're still committed to beast mode. So I don't know how we make that tandem work, but we'll see. We'll see what they do.
Well, I think that move might be dependent on if they still have Jalen Richard and the other young running back, because for the past couple of years they have been like a 3-headed monster.
Right.
So, and I guess if you can get Doug Martin and beast mode, why not? But in other sad news, the Green Bay Packers have signed cornerback Kyle Fuller to an offer sheet. Kyle Fuller has currently been he has the I forget what the actual terminology is.
Is he a restricted free agent?
He's restricted. He's definitely restricted.
Okay.
But they
so you guys have a chance to offer him
5 days. They have placed a transition tag on Kyle Fuller.
Okay.
So that being said, it's kind of like a form of the franchise tag where he's signed to Chicago, but he can accept offers. And Green Bay signed him to an offer sheet, and Chicago Bears have 5 days to decide if they're going to match it and keep him or let him walk to Green Bay in the division. And I like Kyle Fuller, so I hope that Chicago.
I think you guys may step up just because of who has offered him the money.
Yeah, you don't want to see that.
You don't want to see him twice. You don't want to see him twice.
Yeah. And one of the minor holes in what's been a pretty decent stranglehold on the NFC North for the Green Bay Packers has been their defense. The offense is high powered. The defense has been questionable over the years. So you want to add to the defense from your defense? Not a good idea. Yeah. Back to the Raiders, though they've signed Jordy Nelson, the reason for that is because they've released Michael Crabtree.
Right.
And Michael Crabtree has released another chain. But
2 chains.
Yeah. Alden Smith.
No chains, actually. Really?
Yeah, no chains. No chains. What if It wouldn't be ironic if him and Akeem Talib ended up on the same team.
It might be tragic just because, like I said, the beef isn't a football beef. It's a beef from the city of Dallas, which both are currently from.
Okay. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Alden Smith is another release casualty from the Raiders, so
I think he needs to be formally psychiatrically evaluated.
Yeah.
Because there's something not going on right in that situation.
I agree.
And you've gotten numerous chances, so I think you blew it, and I think he's just done. Just, somebody needs to watch him because I don't think it's going to end well for him.
Yeah, we hope it does. We're going to pray for him, but, yeah, it's crazy. But being that Michael Crabtree was released, didn't take long for him to find a home because the Baltimore Ravens released Jeremy Maclin. They signed Ryan Grant to a contract who failed his physical, and then they withdrew that contract offer and signed Crabtree to a 3-year, $21 million deal. So Crabtree and Flacco.
That's a nice place for him to be.
Yeah.
Because Flacco, with the strongest arm in the league, has never really had great receivers. I mean, he did have Steve Smith once.
Yeah. At the latter part,
very latter. That may be it for me. Yeah. I think. I
mean, he had Mike Wallace, but Mike Wallace.
Yeah, but Mike Wallace wasn't Mike Wallace by the time he got there. So
he never really had great hands. He was just fast.
Right.
Torrey Smith was probably like his next best receiver.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So this is a great pickup for them. I just think that they have to shore up the running game a little bit more for them to be effective.
Yeah. Let's see. Danny Woodhead has announced that he is going to retire from the NFL. So
I think he's probably maybe had some concussion symptoms and things of that nature because he's not old.
Not at all. Not at all. And now we move on down to the Kansas City Chiefs, who snagged Sammy Watkins away from the we're getting rid of everybody, as it seems, Los Angeles Rams.
You know what? I think it's a good place for him because primarily they have a new quarterback that's going to play this year, Patrick Mahomes, and from all reports, this guy is the real deal. He has a real live arm, and Sammy can stretch the defense, and he's going to have to prove himself because last year I don't think he did a good job of proving himself. But he did play in 13 games in the season, which is so un-Sammy-like because Sammy's usually hurt. So it'll be interesting to see what a healthy Sammy in a new place would bring.
And not for nothing, but he's not going to have a target on his back because you do have Travis Kelce
at the tight end. Yes,
you do have arguably the fastest man in the NFL. His name is escaping me. Number 10.
Oh, can't think of his name.
Yeah, I'm going blank right now. But you have him at receiver.
Yeah.
You have Kareem Hunt, their second-year running back,
who functions as a great receiver.
Exactly. And you have Andy Reid,
who is a nice offensive-minded, coach.
Yeah. I mean, Andy Reid was successful in Philly.
It's a great fit for him. He should be able to prosper.
Okay, this is gonna bother me right now.
He said it's gonna bother me.
It's gonna bother me. I gotta look up his name because
watch remember
yeah, Tyreek Hill.
The first name that pops up.
Yeah. You got Tyreek Hill,
who had a great season.
Yeah. You have Kareem Hunt. You have Travis Kelce. So it's not like Sammy's gonna go there and have to just put the weight of the whole entire offense on his back. And that's actually good for Patrick Mahomes in his first year as a starter. He's gonna have a lot of weapons to throw to.
I think he's gonna do well.
Yeah. Now, being that Sammy was signed at the LA Rams, we will segue over to the Los Angeles house cleaning Rams.
They did a lot of house cleaning.
Yeah, Sammy Watkins is gone. They have also traded linebacker Alec Ogletree, who was the team captain
and one of the best players on the defense.
And not only that, he was signed to a 4-year.
Would you say he was the second best player on the defense behind Donald?
He was signed to a 4-year, $42 million extension in October. This past season. $33 million of that deal was supposed to come in the first 3 years, and they've traded him to the New York Football Giants for 2 draft picks in the 2018 draft and 1 in 2019.
I would say LA got the better of that deal. I think.
3 picks.
Yeah, I think.
And a lot of money gone off the books. I think that's the problem. I think that on that LA team, they had a lot of guys that were making a lot of money, and that's probably why they are getting rid of so many people.
I would agree.
I mean, like I said, $42 million extension, and 33 was due in the first 3 years. So
And you have to remember that Gurley should be coming up with a contract very soon, so they had to clear money to keep him.
yeah, and recently before that, they traded defensive end / linebacker Robert Quinn to the Dolphins. He was a $25 million cap hit over the next 2 years. So just in those 2 players alone, they cleared up a lot of money. You hate to see it happen, but you understand why it happened. So, yeah, they saved a lot of money, and they're probably going to still have a great defense.
Yeah.
You know. So, but yeah, the Rams cleaned a lot of house out. And what they did do, however, it was reported they were getting ready to trade or release Tavon Austin, but since there's no Sammy Watkins, they restructured a deal with Tavon. 1 year, $5 million with an extra $3 million in incentives. So, deal could be worth up to $8 million. So that was a good.
And you didn't break the bank for it.
Not at all. And you have somebody who's a Rams guy. He's been there since he was drafted. The Rams drafted him.
Yep.
He's been there. He knows the team. He knows the system. And you'll have Tavon and Robert Woods. It's looking like.
Yes. And that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not bad.
Yeah. Carolina Panthers. It seems like they can't keep a weapon for Cam Newton, but they did trade a cornerback, Doug Worley, to Philly for Torrey Smith. So they add a veteran receiver to go with their young core of receivers. Right. So that actually looks like a good move.
And a shocking move, they released Jonathan Stewart.
Yep.
Shocking because we didn't think that McCaffrey proved enough that he should be the everyday back or what have you. Not even sure if that's how they're going to use him, but I guess with Jonathan Stewart, his cap number was pretty high, and in the years he's been getting hurt and things of that nature. So they just decided to part ways, and he's going to the New York Football Giants.
That is correct.
So
I still think if Cleveland doesn't handle that number 1 pick correctly and get Saquon Barkley, I think you will see a 2-headed monster in Jonathan Stewart and Saquon Barkley.
I would agree.
Because if I'm not mistaken, the Giants do pick second.
Yes, they do.
All right. Julius Peppers has also signed a 1-year deal to come back to Carolina.
How do we forget them?
Yeah. University of North Carolina.
How many years has he played in the league? I feel like he's like in his 13th year or something.
I feel like I was in college when he was in college.
And the funny thing is, when you were in college, you remember him from playing on the basketball team rather than for the football team, because the football team was never on TV.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So shout out to him for long.
They could have used him on the basketball team today.
Yeah.
Spanked.
They could have used his 20 points.
Yeah. So, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
If you're the Super Bowl champion,
mm-hmm.
and you had one of the top defenses in the NFL, and you won the Super Bowl with your backup quarterback because your number 1 stud quarterback went out with an injury late in the season.
Right.
What would you do to make your team better next year?
I would sign Meek Mill as my hype man.
Yeah, well, I think
because the games, like when they came out for the Super Bowl, when they came out to Dreams and Nightmares, that right there made me believe that they were going to win the game.
Yeah.
Once I saw that, I said, "Yo, they're a team. They don't have that one individual that usurps everything." So I was like, "Yo, yeah, they're good. They're good."
Yeah.
So
not only did they, I think they did the football version of signing Meek Mill to be their hype man, because they made a trade with the Seahawks for Michael Bennett.
Right.
They signed Haloti Ngata.
That is a big deal.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
This was the number 1 defense. Maybe number 2. They were in the top 2. It was back and forth. They were one of the top 2.
It was them in Minnesota.
Yeah. And they added to it. They released defensive end Vinny Curry, who ended up signing a 3-year deal with the Bucks, $27 million, $11.5 guaranteed. That's a lot of money. Yeah. However,
but you replaced him with Michael Bennett.
Yeah. They did release Brent Selleck, their tight end, but I think they're just gearing way for Zach Ertz to be the full time.
Because Zach Ertz, kind of put himself ahead of him.
Yeah, he kind of, and he's younger.
Yeah,
he's younger. He showed out this year, and I think they just basically said, okay, we're ready for him to be the number one guy. Oh yeah, and we're getting our starting quarterback back.
Yeah,
even though we won the Super Bowl with our backup, we're getting our starting quarterback back.
Yeah,
so we'll be okay.
But what week is he coming back?
Yeah, herein lies the question. However, though, you have the Super Bowl MVP as your backup, who can probably eat for free for the rest of his life in the state of Pennsylvania. So
cheesesteaks he'll never
maybe not
pay for.
Pittsburgh, but not Pittsburgh.
He'll never pay for a cheesesteak again.
Never. So I think they're doing all right. They're sitting kind of pretty. When you have one of the top defenses in the NFL, and you win the Super Bowl, and then you add to your defense,
yeah,
they're making some moves. They've been making money moves. Now, speaking of money, New Orleans Saints.
Show me the money.
New Orleans Saints showed Drew Brees the money. They said, you know what?
Oh, that was a no-brainer.
We want you to retire as a Saint. Drew Brees wanted to retire as a Saint, so they have.
I think he gave them the hometown deal too.
That's actually a discount. They signed, but still,
$25 million is what a discount is. $25 million a year.
Drew Brees, 2 years, $50 million, $25 million a year. We don't know how much is guaranteed. I forgot.
Would I be that much off to think that he could have gotten $30 million a year?
Kirk Cousins got 28.
I mean, but this is Drew Brees who has won a Super Bowl.
He has playoff
and it has
wins.
galvanized the whole city.
Wait,
like
playoff wins.
Now remember, the Saints, their fans were coming wearing brown paper bags that said "Aints" on it before he got there.
Exactly.
He got there. He changed the whole culture of that city at a time when the city needed that battery in its back. Yeah. When the hurricane came through and everybody was just displaced and everything was desolate and things of that nature. And
did a lot for the community.
I remember him week one. The whole team coming out hype and everything, and that set the tone for the whole season.
Yeah.
And for him to just navigate the team to a Super Bowl, I mean, they got a hometown discount. $25 million a year is a discount. It's crazy that we're talking about $25 million being a discount. Yeah. It's just crazy to me.
But this is somebody who they want to retire a Saint. This is somebody who you can kind of sense that.
Yeah, and he wanted to retire a Saint himself.
New Orleans when they retire.
Mm-hmm.
They've embraced the community. They become a part
of the community has embraced them.
Exactly. Yeah. And not for nothing, it's great to see when the NFL games are starting up, and you got that pregame huddle, and the person that's hyping your team up is Drew Brees. And I gotta say, arguably, he's probably got other than Mr. I Got a Body, Ray Lewis himself, probably one of the best people to hype the team up before the game. I mean, there's footage online out there. I say, Google Drew Brees pregame hype huddle, and YouTube it. You'll be blown away, dude. I watch him. I want to get one play a football game, and
he is a great orator in the huddles, and he just he
got some hip hop swag too.
No, he does. He
got a lot of hip hop swag.
He definitely does.
Yeah. But moving right along, further dismantling the Seattle Seahawks, the Washington Redskins have signed wide receiver Paul Richardson. So we got Doug Baldwin.
Yeah,
Russell Wilson and Doug Baldwin. I mean,
but do you really have Doug Baldwin? Because he's trying to restructure contract and things of that nature, so that's still in there.
I think the only guarantee in Seattle is Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. Yeah. The
bromance.
Cam Chancellor's still there only because the contract states, and I don't think he has a big one.
No.
Because he was a holdout before anyway. So yeah, Seattle's not making the playoffs this year. It's my early season projection.
Absolutely not.
Seattle is not making the playoffs. As good as a quarterback Russell Wilson is, he's going to prove himself this year. He has no Paul Richardson.
Right.
He has no Jimmy Graham. He has no Legion of Boom. He's two-thirds are pretty much be gone. So if that defense is off the field quick, that means, I mean, if that defense is on there, I don't know. It's not looking good. It's not looking good for Seattle.
No, definitely not. I would not pick them.
Now, the New England Patriots have released Martellus Bennett, so both of the Bennett brothers were without a job from their original team. However, we said Michael Bennett was signed. Martellus was a $6 million cap hit. And he was due a $2 million roster bonus on the 14th. So
and being that they didn't use him properly anyway, so you know. And I think he'll find a team. He just has to be healthy and pass his physical.
Yeah, and that gave New England $23 million in cap space. What are they going to do with that? They're expected to sign safety Patrick Chung to an extension, so be part of that money.
Right.
They traded, like we mentioned earlier, for Jason McCourty from Cleveland, Devin's twin brother, double trouble.
You ain't even gonna know who to, but
they're gonna be like
just
21
by the numbers.
22.
You know what? I hope they both just have McCourty on their back of their jerseys. I don't want to see one with J McCourty and the other with D McCourty. Just put McCourty. Forget it, man.
Some more of that money went to former Cincinnati running back Jeremy Hill.
And that's a great move for him because he wasn't getting the ball the way he was supposed to.
Yeah, they had a three-headed monster in Cincinnati.
And he was like the odd man out, so that's a good move for him.
Yeah, and not only that, I say that to say this. The last time that I remember New England got a free agent running back from Cincinnati was Corey Dillon.
And he won the Super Bowl with them.
Yeah. So this could be a good look for Jeremy Hill, and that fills that void that was left by Deion Lewis.
Yeah, but Jeremy Hill isn't a Deion Lewis.
No,
I don't know.
He's more of a north-south guy.
Yeah,
but they still have Gillislee. They still have
Well, they didn't use
James
Gillislee that much anyway. So
Gillislee I think first week.
I think that White is going to be the featured back.
Yeah,
you can see a lot of the playing time going to him.
James White is like their modern day Kevin Falk.
Yes.
Because he catches out of the backfield a lot. He's going to be there on third down. Segueing over to the Cincinnati Bengals, we have Matt Barkley, who is signed for 2 years as a backup to Andy Dalton.
And why would he be signed 2 years as a backup? Maybe because the Buffalo Bills signed A.J. McCarron, who was the backup.
There you go.
And they signed him to compete with Nate Peterman. So if he signed to compete with Nate Peterman, I'm going to officially go on the record as saying he won that battle already, and he will go into training camp as the starting quarterback. And if we draft a quarterback, he will be battling that person in training camp. But going into training camp, he'll be the starter.
In all fairness, A.J. McCarron has a
pedigree.
He has a pedigree. I mean, NCAA championship with Alabama. Two? Yeah, that's right, because Alabama wins every year. When he's come in and spot work for Andy Dalton, or when Andy Dalton's been unhealthy, A.J. McCarron has shown that, hey, you know what? Maybe I am somebody you want to look at when I'm a free agent. And Buffalo Bills looked, and there he is.
Well, this year will be his dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
So, AJ, you're on the clock.
Yep. And so are the Buffalo Bills. Let's see what they're gonna do in the draft. Do they feel like they have their guy, or do they want a little bit more insurance?
I think we're gonna get a little bit more insurance. I don't think that we have our guy, and we know this. So we will select a quarterback.
My thing is this: before we move on, if you're not sure about your quarterback, there's 8 quote unquote surefire shots in this draft. They're saying there's 8 can't miss guys. So that means that there's 8 can't miss guys. There's probably like another 8 that can get you by.
Right.
You know, so I mean, if you're not sure about your quarterback, this is the year to get a quarterback.
Well, get you one of them and you'll be all right.
Yeah, just go get one. There's 8 top of the line. You can't miss, quote unquote, prospects in this draft, which means there's probably about 18 guys that you could pick that are serviceable. Right. So,
well, where do you think that leaves Jackson from Louisville? Heisman Trophy winner, very accomplished quarterback, who was told by some that he may have to change his position in the draft to be a wide receiver, but he's maintained that he's a quarterback, and that's what he'll be in the draft. What do you think that does for his chances?
I look at him as Michael Vick with accuracy, though, because he can pass.
Yes, he can.
He can stand in the pocket and pass, whereas the big knock on Michael Vick was his accuracy. He's a run-first guy. Lamar Jackson is not that. I mean, he's more Cam Newton. I would say he's the perfect combination of Cam Newton and Michael Vick. What Michael Vick did running and what Cam Newton does passing, Lamar Jackson does both of those.
Okay.
And there's a lot of teams out there that need a quarterback. So, I mean, I have heard, rumbles that maybe Buffalo would be interested in him.
Yes, we are interested in him.
Yeah.
We are.
Like, maybe he's the Tyrod Taylor that you hoped Tyrod would be.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Everybody's on the clock. The draft is next month, so we shall see. And I will be definitely watching that first round on prime time this year. In other news, as far as moving down south to the Jacksonville Jaguars, Paul Posluszny is retired, and they have also signed wide receiver Austin Seferian-Jenkins from the New York Jets, formerly. Why did they sign wide receiver Austin Seferian-Jenkins from the New York Jets?
I have no idea.
I'm going to let you know. Because the Chicago Bears have signed Allen Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You were just so waiting to say that.
I was waiting to say that. They've also placed right of first refusal tenders, which is another form of, I think it's a form of the franchise tag. These are basically restricted free agents on wide receiver Joshua Bellamy, defensive back Bryce Callahan, and wide receiver Cameron Meredith. Basically, my understanding of that is they can keep them if they want to, but if they feel like, okay, somebody overpaid for them, we can let them go. And they, like I mentioned earlier, they placed a transition tag on Kyle Fuller, who has signed an offer sheet with the Green Bay Packers. So Chicago has 5 days to match that. They've released.
What's your sense on if they'll re-sign him or not, or they'll offer him?
They released Pernell McPhee and they released defensive back Quinton Demps. They re-signed Prince Amakamura. So I'm thinking if they...
I think they need to re him up.
I think they should
they need to re him up.
Yeah, I think they're cutting the dead weight. And then they have first right of refusal on Bryce Callahan. I think you lock up Fuller.
I agree.
Prince Amukamara, I should say.
He's so up and down, and he's
But he
hurt.
stated that he wanted to come back to Chicago no matter what. Like, he told his agent, don't talk to anybody else but Chicago. I want to return to Chicago. There's a lot of buzz. And I'm not even saying this just because I'm a Chicago Bears fan, even right now. There's a lot of buzz around Chicago this year. Allen Robinson said the sole reason he wanted to come to Chicago was Mike Nagy, the new head coach.
Right.
Chicago signed wide receiver Taylor Gabriel from Atlanta. And tight end Trey Burton, for those of you who don't remember, he's the one that threw the touchdown to Nick Foles. Trey Burton from Philly, Taylor Gabriel, wide receiver from Atlanta, have also signed with Chicago because they said they wanted to play in Mike Nagy's offense. There's a lot of buzz and a lot of hype around Chicago right now, especially offensively. Matt Ford, I don't want to get to that yet, but Mitchell Trubisky, you got some weapons, you have an offense, you have an offensive genius, quote unquote. I don't like, they like to throw that term around.
Yeah.
They've also named Brad Childress as offensive consultant.
I like that move.
I like it a lot.
'Cause I like Brad Childress.
So, that being said, we already have Tariq Cohen at running back, who's in his second year. We have, I'm going blank, oh my God, Jordan Howard, who's going to be in his third year, who's been actually killing it at the running back.
Yeah. Dope too.
So we have a nice 1-2 punch at running back. We have Trubisky. We have Trey Burton at tight end. We have Allen Robinson, who's coming in as the number 1. We still have Kevin White on his rookie deal. We have a potential to get back Cameron Meredith. I have to check on the status of Kendall Wright because I know we may waive Marcus Wheaton. But offensively, it's looking like there's going to be some good things happening in Chicago. And it also looks like we're cutting the dead weight on defense and just keeping the people who we can truly trust, which is another reason I think they should re-sign Kyle Fuller. And last but not least, we signed future Hall of Fame running back Matt Forte to a 1-day deal so he can retire as a Chicago Bear.
Kudos to you guys.
Yeah.
That's out of respect. When he goes in the Hall of Fame, he's going in as a Chicago Bear because he's definitely going in the Hall of Fame. I mean,
I agree.
Have you seen a better workhorse as a running back than him?
out of the backfield, in between the tackles, catching passes, first, second, third down. There wasn't somebody to come in and spell him. He was playing the majority of the plays, getting the bulk of the carries, getting the bulk of the running back receptions out of the backfield. I mean, he was probably the best Chicago running back since Neil Anderson and Walter Payton. Hands down. I can't think of another running back Chicago had that was better than Matt Forte. Other than he falls within that lineage of Gale Sayers, Walter Payton, Neil Anderson, in my eyes. So I think he's the first ballot Hall of Famer. He might not be first ballot, but I think he is.
No, he's first ballot.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If you look at some of the other people in that position that are running backs and compare their numbers, I mean, they pale in comparison to his numbers.
And we talked about on the last episode, I don't think he's missed less than 4 games in the season.
Right.
I mean, more than 4 games in the season. He's played at least 12 games each year.
Very consistent, had some longevity at one of the most violent positions.
Exactly.
Definitely a Hall of Famer. Can run the ball and catch it out the backfield. I mean, he reminded me of a new version of Roger Craig.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's a Hall of Famer. So yes,
especially when we're talking about this generation of the running back by committee. He had no committee. He was the committee. So
yeah, pretty much, and stayed healthy primarily throughout his whole career. So
yeah.
definitely, if I'm a voting member of the Hall of Fame, I'm definitely voting for him.
We're accepting, offers to be voted members of the Hall of Fame. If you guys, just hit us up, rocnraggedy@gmail.com.
Yes.
If you want us to vote Hall of Fame.
And
Theo, I
if
got
you
you,
don't,
baby.
just hit us up.
Yeah, just hit us up anyway. Yeah. Breaking news. No, we're not talking about the NCAA tournament.
No.
We're talking about ESPN. Those of you may know,
wow,
Jamel Hill got suspended a couple times from ESPN
for basically having an opinion and being a black woman with an opinion
on Twitter, not on the job, on Twitter, her own personal Twitter account, and she allegedly violated some social media policies that ESPN had in place that nobody knew ESPN had in place, but it is what it is. She finally returned and eventually said, "You know what? I'm going to be leaving my position. I'm not getting fired. I'm not being asked to step down. I'm just choosing to leave because I don't feel like SportsCenter is my calling, and I feel like I have so much more to do in society." We saw the writing on the wall, and lo and behold, not much longer, Michael Smith has also decided to leave the 6 p.m. SportsCenter. So there is no more SC6. It is now going back to SportsCenter.
Well, how could it be SC6 if even one of them has left the fold? And if anybody knows anything about, Michael Smith and Jamel Hill, they know that the chemistry between the two of them is unbelievable. I mean, thus them rebranding SportsCenter and naming it SC6.
Yeah.
They rebranded it for them, but little after they came on and did the show, they're changing all the parameters of the show while they're at the show. I mean, we talked about it offline, and what you said about him, comparing him to a rapper, was very accurate.
Yeah. It's basically like they were that rapper that, we like your gritty edge, we like your raw lyrics, we like how you just blunt and you say what you mean. Now that you're signed to us, can you kind of tone it down a little bit? Because, your bluntness might offend some people. But you signed me because I was blunt and I was keeping it real. Yeah, that's great. That's what, but we just need you to not keep it so real. And that's kind of what happened with Michael and Jamel. And I'll read a couple of quotes from Smith. He did an interview, and he was like, there was a time when we weren't even talking to each other anymore. And, Raggedy just alluded to the chemistry that they have. But if they're not talking, how can you have chemistry? And he said, no more Michael and Jamel, not less, not here and there. No more Michael and Jamel talking. No more of their commentary. Now, he's not saying that they had beef. He's saying that the back and forth commentary and banner they would have that showed their chemistry, ESPN didn't want them to have that. They were basically talking heads. He said it's strictly just live shots and analysts. That's what pissed me off so much. I was like, wait a second. You all acknowledge that one of the strengths we have going for us as a show is Michael and Jamel's chemistry. But Michael and Jamel don't talk to each other. Now, does that make sense? And that's basically what happens. Like, okay, you know what? We love your guys' chemistry. You guys just bounce off each other back and forth so well. You're so witty. We're going to need you to not do that anymore. Sorry, you know. And it just seems like SportsCenter wanted to go in a different direction, went in a different direction, then realized they didn't really want to go in a different direction, so went back to the same direction they were going in. And Jemele Hill made some comments as well in an interview saying that she said she was less agitated, but she said that she said, I know what SportsCenter needs to be, but I know what I need to be too. And I don't think those two things are on the same page. So that basically summed up what's going on. And
such a sad day, you know, for like, you know, journalists of color and people in the sports world of color. You know, finally we had two anchors of color, and both one of the female gender and one of the male gender, which we haven't seen on a major sports, you know, plateau like ESPN. And for them to just screw it up so early in the game is just, you know, it's just pathetic, you know.
Yeah. I wish I had 4 hands. I'd give them 4 thumbs down.
There might be more than 4 thumbs down for that move. I mean, I think they probably lost a lot of viewership behind that move.
Yeah, and I heard somebody make the comment that ESPN needs to change their name to SPN because they're losing the entertainment portion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
I think that portion died with Stuart Scott.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't think anybody else was there with enough personality to carry on that trend.
Right.
You know, you got a lot of jokes and a lot of ha-ha moments, but just like wanting to sit there and watch an entire episode of SportsCenter just to hear this person's commentary, you don't really get that anymore, you know. So I don't know. They had a chance with Michael and Jemele. And I remember you mentioned earlier offline, like, they should have just let him keep doing his and hers, because that show was great. But I don't know. Can't call it. Don't know what to say. But I do know one thing.
What was that?
I think it is the NCAA Tournament version of Temple Time and the Quinton Rose Watch.
Well, there is not much to say. The team, they did very well in their conference tournament. They won their first round matchup with against Tulane. They lost the second round matchup to Wichita State, who Wichita State travels very well. I mean, they had the whole Amway Arena just on lock. There may have been maybe 100 fans from Temple, and that's maybe pushing it, but they really had everybody there. But Temple did not make the NCAA tournament, but they made the NIT, which is not invited to tournament, and they lost in the first round at home to Penn. So it's sort of like a Big Five matchup, because what the Big Five matchup is all the teams that are based in Philadelphia play each other for the right to say that they're number one in Philadelphia. So upon them going out like that, Q is currently about to have some meetings with some agents. When we were down at the tournament, my brother spoke to one, and I was there, you know, as a part of the conversation. And it's crazy how analytics plays such a big part in what other teams are doing.
Yeah, it's huge now.
The gentleman that wanted to go over some things about Quinton in his future laid out a big analytical plan for him. I mean, I was like, wow, you guys really, really pay attention to all of these things. But yeah, at this point, you know, Q will be I believe he will want to go into the draft, and probably without an agent initially. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully the Lakers will draft him, and then I can quit my job and just go there.
Yeah, and I can quit my job and become his full-time DJ.
There you go.
We can reenact the black version of Entourage.
That would be great.
That'd be wonderful.
I'm gonna put that I'm gonna put that bug in his ear when he comes home on Thursday.
Yeah, do that. Just say, look, watch the first three seasons of Entourage, and just imagine that.
Like, this could be your life.
Yeah. Speaking of life in the NCAA right now, Xavier is currently holding a 9-point lead in the second half over Florida State. So it's looking like one
seed will get there.
Yeah, one of them.
Well, we still got Kansas on the clock.
Yeah, Kansas is on the clock. Speaking of Kansas State has squeaked by UMBC, home of Stringer Well, 50-43. So Kansas State, the 9 seed, will match up with the 5 seed Kentucky in the Sweet 16. Did you expect to see that?
I don't think anybody thought that this brand of the Kentucky Wildcats would make it a run as they're making right now.
Yeah.
And just looking at their side of the bracket, they probably should get to the Final Four.
They have a matchup against Kansas State. Should they hold court, they will be seeing Loyola Chicago. Obama, you should have picked them. Or Nevada. The 11. So they have to go through the 9, then the 11 or 7 seed.
They're the highest remaining seed in the South.
That is correct.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Crazy. Who would have thought?
We go over to the other side on the East. Currently, right now, West Virginia is squeaking past Marshall, 23-20 in the 5-13 matchup. Marshall seems kind of tough. They kind of gave it to Wichita State a little bit. Wichita travels big, but they didn't travel big enough. And but West Virginia did kind of handle Murray State, so it should be interesting to see. But that game is currently in the first half. The winner of that game meets our favorite, Villanova. And down the bottom of that played out the way it should have, as number 3 Texas Tech is against number 2 Purdue in the Sweet 16. Texas Tech is even bigger than Texas A&M in basketball. At least they had a Hall of Fame coach at one time.
This is true.
Yeah. Down in the West, Gonzaga is waiting the winner of Xavier, Florida State. And right now, Xavier seems to be in control by 11 points, 46-35.
With 14:25 to go. But things can happen,
Things can happen. And down on the bottom, Michigan is facing that Texas A&M team that has spanked the living daylights out of North Carolina.
I think that'll be a good game, though.
I think it will be, too.
You're looking at one team that spanked the defending national champions, and then you look at Michigan, who, if it wasn't for a great play at the end of the game, would be going home.
Exactly.
So we'll see who comes out with the momentum in the beginning of the game that can sustain it.
And let's be clear about this. Let's look at the resumes of this game. Michigan comes in with a win over Montana and then a win over Houston. Texas A&M comes in with a win over Providence.
Do not discredit Houston. Watch Houston at the tournament, and Houston, I thought, would make a run. I did.
Oh, I'm not discrediting Houston because based on the fact that they only won by 1 point, that's what I'm alluding to. And they played Montana the game before that.
Right.
So Texas A&M had to go through Providence and North Carolina.
A tough Providence team.
Yes, the GOATs of the Big East Conference.
That means that they're battle tested.
Yep. And down over in the Midwest, we have Kansas and Clemson, as Clemson ended up winning by 31 points, 84-53 over a number 4 seed Auburn. So Kansas, you were on the clock.
That was like a great football matchup.
That'd be a great football matchup. Down on the bottom, Duke Blue Devils are on the clock against the number 11 Syracuse Orangemen. All of a sudden,
politically, in being politically correct, it's Syracuse Orange, but we don't call them the Orange. Syracuse Orange Men.
We're old school. Orange.
We're gonna need Derek Coleman and the rest of the alumni to show up in that game.
We need Sherman Douglas. We need Ronnie Syke.
We need every alumni
Adrian
alive to show up in the game.
David Johnson.
Because when DC comes to the games, if you notice, the team plays with like the swag of DC.
Yeah. Where's Jerry McNamara when you need him?
On the bench. He's one of the coaches.
That's right. John Wallace.
Next. Just saying.
Hey.
He's done nothing for the town. Next.
Moving right along. Yanulis, where you at? Prattsburg's finest.
Wow. You would call him. I liked him though. I really liked him.
He was nice when he went to Syracuse.
I liked him. But one thing that I've noticed about the team is usually when you expect nothing of him, that's when Coach Boeheim gives you his best coaching job. Mm-hmm. And you know, Coach and Coach K are really good friends. Jim Boeheim's his number one assistant when he coaches the Olympic teams. But Coach Boeheim would love to just give it to Duke. Pause. Yeah, great pause.
But yeah, it should be some good matchups for the Sweet 16 round. So once again, if your bracket isn't busted, congratulations. If it is, welcome to the rest of the world, because most of us have busted brackets, unless you're like us and you picked Villanova to win it all. You still have hope, but who knows? This is that year where that tournament is so unpredictable, you never know what could happen. But yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything.
Absolutely, we did.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add, or?
Just keep an eye on the NCAA tournament, the free agency frenzy with the NFL. Also, keep an eye out for spring training baseball, which is going on. Not much to tell at this point on that note, and the current NBA seedings. Hopefully they don't change, because our nightclub
is popping.
Our nightclub pairings are still popping.
Houston, New Orleans, Toronto, Miami. It goes down. Definitely. Do remember, hit us up on IG. Your IG is
at Raggedy_Andy.
You can hit me up at the real DJ ROC or at Coach Harris TF. That's at the real _DJ_ROC. At Coach Harris TF, all one word. On Twitter, you can hit us up at rocnraggedy. We will have a rocnraggedy IG coming soon. It'll probably be at rocnraggedy as well. So just be on the lookout for at rocnraggedy on IG as well. My Twitter is at the real DJ ROC, all connected, one word, no underscores, no hyphens, none of that. Your Twitter.
On Twitter, I am at arrogance21.
If you are watching us on YouTube right now, we're not watching us, but you're watching the picture that has all this information on it. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button underneath, click that subscribe button. Please subscribe. You can check us out on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Google Music, Google Play Music, coming soon to iHeartRadio. So
yes. So we're going to be everywhere. You ain't going to be able to get rid of us.
That's right. Get all the apps on your phone. Just download them. Computers computing, boobity booting.
Here we go.
Yeah,
this is another one of our shows, but
yeah.
But please, leave us some comments and feedback. If there's anything that you want us to speak on, other sports, like last week, we stepped out and deviated from what we usually do. We spoke on boxing.
Yes, right.
We could speak on MMA. We could speak on wrestling. We'll probably do something with wrestling when WrestleMania is coming up. We'll do track and field, because the outdoor season is going to be popping real soon. And, anything else? Oh. You know what we could talk about?
What's that?
Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Who has made a resurgence, and I didn't see it. My thought would be that Tiger has the hose again, or I guess.
Maybe so.
I hope so.
Got back in his bag.
Because when he had the hose, that's when he was on top. But he's playing well again. So
when he was on top, he was on top.
I mean, he came in fifth today, but he's on top of his game, and they're looking for him in Vegas. All bets are that he's going to be the winner of the Masters. So just look out for that as well as some tennis. When Serena gets back in her bag and starts winning again, we'll do some tennis as well.
There you go. Yeah, but I just hope that Tiger can pull it all together, because even though he's quote unquote old, he's old to be the athletic, I can dunk on you Tiger. Just be that old golfer Tiger. You know what I mean?
Well, limited golfer can sustain himself until 60, really.
Exactly.
You know, so you know, it's just I think for him, it's just him getting in shape. You know, not having the issues of his back or anything, and he's really swinging well. And and the one thing that was not his strength when he was on top was his putting, and that's his strength now.
Yeah. Well, I think now he's kind of like, if we're comparing this to like basketball, he's starting to finally get into that mentality of, I got to shoot the short jumper now instead of trying to dunk. I can't dunk anymore like I used to. Let me get this mid-range game going and work it like that. Play smarter versus using my athleticism, you know.
Right. Like they say, play smarter, not harder.
Yeah. And hopefully, I mean, because honestly, if you look at the average, I mean, the typical golfer, he should just be scratching the surface of what he could do.
Yeah.
You know, so he just did so much at a young age that, you know, we got spoiled. So we'll see. We're pulling for Tiger though. But other than that, I think we are good to go. There's going to be a lot more going on in the NFL. I mean, obviously the combine is over. There's been a lot of movement. The draft is on the horizon. Everybody's on the clock now. The NBA is going to be shuffling around. Like we said, 5 through 8 in the West have the exact same record, so that can change. Somebody sneezes, that the standings can